Our producers and volunteers commit a lot of time to helping each other bring you the best in hyper-local programming. If you've been watching this show at all, you probably know that we like to have a good time here at the Arroyo Profiles. But we really are proud of the important work we do. The community we built here is passionate about creativity, social awareness, and intellectual growth. The training they receive offers them a chance to expand their skill set, test new ideas, and push the envelope on the front lines of community engagement. But sometimes you just want to throw pudding in someone's face. Well, guess what? You can do that too. Stick around and find out how messy things can get. Tonight's first guest is responsible for some of the sloppiest production work I've seen in a long time. It's almost as if she intentionally came here to see how big of a mess she could make, and we love her for it. Please welcome Roe Moore to Arroyo Profiles. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Chevelle.
It's going to make sense, all that stuff I said, in a second. But before we get into your show, I want to talk about you. So, your name is Roe Moore.
Yes.
What else? Let's start from the very beginning. You were born in a small shanty house on the hills of the Appalachian Mountains, yes?
No,
Oh.
I wish. That would have been a very cool story. But no, I'm born and raised in Aurora, Colorado. People know it now mainly because of the theater shooting that happened there.
Right.
But we also have a great community that's involved in Aurora, Colorado. I tell people all the time I'm from Denver because Aurora's 45 minutes outside of Denver, so it's very close.
So pretty much the entire time in Aurora?
Yes, yep,
Yeah.
for 22 years of my life, yeah.
Fantastic. And what was kind of your driving thing for those first 22 years?
Well, obviously just getting through high school, that was like a trip in itself.
Okay.
I was raised in a school that had the #2 teen pregnancies in all of country. So you can imagine.
Something to brag about, right?
Yeah, it is
Hey,
totally something to brag about.
Right?
But
Turns
the
out
fact
that's not that hard to do, though.
I guess, I don't know.
We'll cover that on a different show.
Yes, but I basically left the town because I wanted to pursue acting. Came out to New Mexico first as my little trip to LA. I worked in New Mexico on Breaking Bad, a couple of the other shows out there in the crew. And then I moved on to LA because a few casting directors were like, you're too sweet, you're not the type we would cast out here. It's time for you to move on to a bigger market that would actually cast you. Okay. So I moved out to LA. I pursued acting for about the first 6 years that I was out here. It was during the push for actors to start developing their own project to get noticed. It was right when web series were a thing, if they ever were a thing. Crowdfunding was just starting and all that kind of stuff. So I started learning the behind the scenes with producing and how you work with cameras, all of that information at that time. And it just grew to a point where I was like, I want to get paid for this. I'm putting so much time and energy. Why don't I get paid for it? And I started finding a niche in script supervising.
Okay, and that's what you do. You're a script supervisor. What is a script supervisor? Just so people know what that is.
Yeah, most movies are shot out of order. We are responsible for making sure wardrobe stays the same, that the props stay the same. If there is a certain house we're shooting in, all of the set dressing looks the same if we're coming from day to day to day. So we handle a lot of that, and we handle actors saying their lines correctly. We make sure that the directors follow the script.
And they pay you for this?
Yes, rather handsomely too.
Nice. So what are some of the things you've worked on, say recently, that the people might be aware of, or can even look out and see now?
Yeah, right now, what's airing right now is Masters of Illusion on CW. I was their associate director. It's a lot of magic. We all shot it live, which is similar to the environment here at Pasadena Media, but we do it live to tape. We bring in all these magicians from across the world. They do their tricks. We catch it on tape. We bring in a live audience, all 9 yards. So that's one of the projects. And then another project that will be debuting, or I guess opening again in July, is Lucha Underground on El Rey Network. And that is fun because I do the vignette side, not the live shows, because they have live wrestling shows that get taped as well. But the vignettes are where we bring the wrestlers, they try to be actors, and we give them storylines just like WWE.
Okay, so you mentioned the environment here and compared it to kind of how they do the stuff in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I want to get into that, but I want to show a little bit of exactly what it is you do. And you brought a piece that you guys put together. Normally
Yes.
we have our hack team, AKA Jared, put together the piece, but no, we didn't want to leave this to him. So just tell us a little bit about what we were going to see, and we'll talk more about your project and your experience here after that.
Sure, this is a fun little behind the scenes. We pull back the curtain. You get to hear from Ben, who's our host and a co-producer on the show as well for Buzzed Out, which is our live game show for Arroyo channel. And you'll see some of what it takes to produce that.
All right, so let's take a look at Buzzed Out.
Hi, and welcome to Buzzed Out.
Who were the first two astronauts that landed on the moon in 19... Glenda.
Buzz Armstrong and Neil.
I'm not giving it to you. Anybody else? Steven.
Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong.
Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong is correct for Steven. Yes.
Thank you.
Worth it, okay. Oh, that's brutal. I'm Ben Benjamins, and I'm the host and co-creator of Buzzed Out. The inspiration behind Buzzed Out came from my love of Double Dare. I've always loved Mark Summers and his energy and attitude. As the host of Buzzed Out, I really try to channel him in my performance. It's a childhood dream of mine to be a host of a game show, and now I get to say I'm doing just that. A lot of what makes Buzzed Out successful is the behind the scenes. We're constantly testing the challenges in the driveway of Roe's house. We do rehearsals to make sure everything's going to run smoothly. The best part of Buzzed Out is we're still learning, growing, and figuring out the show as we go. Pasadena Media has been supportive all the way with letting us make mistakes and even make a mess in their studio. As long as it's still fun, we'll keep doing new episodes. Thanks again for watching Buzzed Out. We'll see you next time right here on the coolest game show in the world, Buzzed Out. See you next time. Bye-bye.
You can catch the show airing on the Arroyo channel. Check the channel listings for that, and let's find a little bit more about the show now. So Buzzed Out, clearly Ben is kind of key to that whole thing.
Yes.
So where did that vision come from?
Well, obviously being here, I wanted to get my producer certification so that way when I go out into real Hollywood, they can see me as a producer versus a script supervisor. But Ben is always, like he said, he wanted to be a game show host. And I figured this would be a perfect avenue to take what I wanted to learn and the skill set that I already have from in the industry to allow him to become that game show host that he always thought of.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you first came in the door here, did you have any expectations?
I actually tried to hide that I had experience. You know what, I can't deny it because I know as soon as I jump on camera, people started picking up, they're like, oh, you know some stuff. And I was like, yeah, maybe. So I tried to really just be a normal human that was just relearning everything.
And
but
not the Hollywood mega producer that you are.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And so having had that experience and clearly having had training in this before you came in here, what did you think about the way that the program's run here? How did, because we're a different type of creature.
Yes.
So talk about some of the differences you've noticed.
To me, it's the best way I learn because I learn by getting a few bits of details and then applying and then coming back and going, okay, let's tweak this now and now let's add this on. That's how I learn best. And being here, you take a 2-hour workshop and you're like, okay, this is a camera, this is what it does, this is how it needs to be taken care of, this is what I can do with it. Now let me play with it. And you're in a real environment, like just even right now, people are taping, the cameras are able to move, they're able to handle everything that you could want to do right now. And I think that's why I was so attracted to the environment and learning here.
So how did you hear about it?
I heard about it through Instagram. I was actually in Chicago. Ben was doing a magic show and I was helping him because I'm his assistant. And I happened to be scrolling on Instagram and it was one of the ads and I was like, Ben, when we get back, I gotta go.
Huh, okay.
So yeah.
It's good to know that that works.
Exactly.
So feel free to like, follow, and subscribe.
Yes.
So you came back, you signed up for the orientation, and about how long would you say it took to go from the moment you walked in to where you're you're making a mess in the studio. Basically.
Yeah, I mean, I came to orientation in October and we were filming in January.
Wow.
So maybe 3 or 4 months, but again, a lot of my previous training from the industry came in handy because I knew how to put together a production booklet. I knew how to put together the set design, because our show isn't easy by any means. Like, we have multiple setups for every single episode, and we use the studio, instead of like this one, we're using one of the small black boxes. We use the whole span of the green screen to the black box. So it's wrapping your head around, what do I need for set design, things like that.
And then one of the other things that could either be a benefit or a harm is the fact that the budget is all up to you, because we're not paying you to do this.
No.
So you got to bring your A game when you're coming in, and you more or less get out what you put in. You guys put in quite a bit of effort in this. So
Yeah.
how do you think it's, well, let me ask you this, because you're in these orientations and these classes with people who some have zero experience, maybe not even want to gain the experience, but we force you to, because if you're going to make this stuff, you need to know how it gets made.
Yeah.
So talk about the dynamic with the other people that you take in classes with, and then ultimately volunteering on shows.
Sure. I mean, it's always a pleasure to work with someone who knows more than you. And I kind of like taking that leadership role where it's like, okay, let us explore together to see. Even I remember being in your shoes where I didn't know, and let's take it to where I can bring you to where I am. And then it's nice to have the staff, because they can take me from where I am to that next level, and I can hand it back down and be like, so now that I've taught you this, let's try this. So I really like the fact that even on our show, as crazy as it is, anybody can walk on even after just taking a single camera class, and they're going to learn so much and be able to play, because it's an environment where we are constantly resetting because things go wrong. And there's very low pressure when you're a newbie on our show, because it start stop all the way.
So overall, how do you think that it went, the experience putting your show together?
Oh my God, it's been really fun.
Okay. All right, well, we actually have to take a quick break. Is that right, Glenn? Okay, all right, we have to take a quick break right now, but we'll be right back in a minute with more from Roe Moore. More from Roe Moore.
When we found out that we were pregnant, we were just elated. We were just sitting there waiting for the pediatrician. She said she won't be taking you in as a client.
We are a lesbian couple, but she's just a baby. She's the one you're denying the service to.
Hate mosquito bites? No need to fright. There are simple ways to fight the bite. Eliminate sources of standing water. Mosquitoes need motionless water to lay eggs in. Add pumps to water features. Keep them chemically treated, or stock them with fish. Make sure tubs and buckets are covered, or drill some holes into them so water drains out. Keep mosquito-repelling plants like citronella, basil, and lavender near windows and outdoor hangouts. Historically, mosquitoes are active in the evening. However, invasive breeds in the area are active all day. So if bites are a problem, take precautions all day long. When outdoors, wear long sleeves and pants. Repellents with 10 to 30% DEET as an active ingredient are proven to work very well. Be sure to read the label for proper application. Mosquito-borne disease is projected to grow globally and continue to claim more than 1 million lives yearly. If you're aware of problem areas or have questions, call 626-814-9466 and fight the bite.
I just want to ask a couple of quick questions before we kick you off. I mean, before you have to go.
I know.
So again, getting back to your experience, so you've talked about, because again, you came in with experience, you met some people, you've worked on shows with a lot of different kind of shows, different kind of environment. So what are some of the shows you've worked on, some of the people that have worked on your show?
Yeah, most of the people that have worked on our show, oh gosh, it was the Animals Speak to Me lady.
Karen Marenko?
Yeah, Karen. She came and worked on our show. I worked on her show. Hers was very interesting because it's a different set. Ours is very loud. It's very, everything's going everywhere. Versus for her show, we have to kind of keep it more subtle, more quiet because of what she does. So that's a very huge contrast between ours and theirs. And then I did the wedding show, bridal.
I
can't remember her name.
Why do I always draw a blank on her name?
It's like a pop quiz.
So sorry.
But I was on
Kelly,
her show. Yeah.
Late Night Bride.
Yeah, Late Night Bride, which was a beautiful
Great show,
one.
yeah.
I got to run camera.
She's been on the show twice, which means you have to come back another time.
Exactly. But her show I enjoyed a lot because I got to run camera. And something that I love doing is doing movements with the camera. So I got to zoom in and do a lot of like the close-up of the invitations, the different things that her guests talk about, which is a lot of fun.
Okay, so then another thing, because I'm guessing you learning how to do all this stuff, did you learn it all for free?
Yes, I did learn it all for free.
Okay,
Thank God.
And then all the experience you acquired before that?
That? Well, I am self-taught. So
Okay,
I just picked up a camera. I think that cost me $800 at Target back in 2004. And
pretty good chunk of change.
Yeah, and I've had that camera ever since, and I've just been running around learning everything I could, from lighting to camera work to,
Something tells me you're probably the type of person who likes to learn.
Yes.
By doing.
Yeah.
And nobody can tell you nothing about nothing.
Well, they can. It depends on if I'll listen, though.
Okay. And so lastly, having done some learning on your own, learning in the industry as a professional, would you say is important about having a place like Pasadena Media and the Arroyo channel for doing things like what you're doing now?
I think it's essential. It's absolutely essential, because had I had some place like this to at least get me going in the right direction, because I did spend a lot of time just spinning my wheels. I did short films that were crappy because I didn't know what I was doing, but they still got showcased, but it also gave me a little bit of a rap where people were like, well, she's brand new, we can tell she's new, do we want to work with her? That kind of thing. So to be able to come into an environment like this that is specifically for learning, specifically to try and grow, it's completely necessary. And anybody who's looking to go into this, please take advantage of the resources, because it's here for you.
Okay, and then one last thing. You're taking the show on the road, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
So how does that work?
Okay,
You're going to make a mess in somebody else's stage for once.
Yes, for once.
And not your driveway.
Yeah, not my driveway, thank God. But with the going on a live tour with it, we're going to Hollywood Fringe starting on June 2nd. We have 5 dates that we're doing this in June. Essentially, we're using tarps. We're making it a lot messier. We're using water balloons on stage.
Yes, please get that out of your system.
Yes. Before we come back. But yeah, we're trying it out. We're seeing how we like the live feel, and then maybe we might bring it back in here with a live audience. You never know. That could be a little crazy, though.
Keeping it simple, I see.
Yes.
Yes, lovely. All right, fantastic. Thank you very much, Ro. Thank you for your show, your creativity, your vision.
Thank you.
And all that stuff.
Yes.
And we actually have to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with a new guest, Maryl Celiz-Paz.
Ooh.
Stick around.
Looking for a hands-on internship in media production? Then Pasadena Media is the place for you. Get the experience you've been looking for in pre-production, studio production, and post-production. You'll have the opportunity to build a professional resume, all while having fun. You'll work alongside others who share your passion, all while gaining knowledge about the industry. So what are you waiting for? Call 626-794-8585 or visit pasadenamedia.org for more information.
Our next guest is new to us here at the Arroyo channel, but she's no stranger to the world of television and video production. Right now, we're going to see how she's adjusting to the Arroyo channel way of doing things. Please welcome Maryl Celiz-Paz.
How are you? Doing great. Loving
Excellent.
It here.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. All right, that's it for this episode. Okay.
And it's not just because it's you. I mean, seriously. And I think maybe you guys are tired of hearing me say it, but everybody here is so kind. So.
Really? And you said not just me? Like, I'm kind.
Not just you. Well, maybe not you. No, yes, you. Yeah,
okay.
Everybody.
So who are you? Where are you from? What's your story?
What's my story? Let's see, I'm Peruvian. Okay. I was born in Peru, moved here when I was 10 years old. And I have a news background, so journalism, print mostly, but yeah, on-camera work as well. And now I have my own content development company, consulting. So I actually arrived here because I wanted to do videos, and it was sort of a serendipitous story. I don't know if I told you.
No, tell me now.
Well, I was kind of feeling out what my next sort of step was for my business, and I was talking to my sister, and I said, I really feel like I need to do video, but I've never done it from the technical side. I always had a team doing it. I've just done like segment production from the content perspective, or executive producing like from the content side. And she's like, I think that sounds great. And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna follow my heart on that. Cross the street and see a guy holding a camera. It was Charles.
Wow.
And I'm like, hey, what are you shooting? And he's all, I'm doing B-roll for Pasadena Media. Are you interested in doing TV? You should come over. And we drove over with my sister, and
wow.
that was last month.
Thank you, Charles. Well done. All right. And so you came in, you signed up for an orientation, and how was that process? Because you've been to a couple of different TV studios, one or two maybe.
Yes, but I think it was super easy here because you guys make it so welcoming. Usually, TV studios, from your background, it can be, either nobody talks to you and it's unwelcoming, environment. Mm-hmm. But here it's like, hey, what do you want to do? Let's do it. And I really love that because it just opens up creativity. It can also be like nerve-wracking because it's like, when's you going to submit your proposal? What are you going to do? What's your show? And you're just like, I don't know. But I'd rather have that than like, oh, I don't know if I could do anything. You just feel like the heart flowing here, and I love that.
And you've operated most of these positions, but you recently directed. Have you ever directed before?
No, this was Jared's fault, and not your fault. But yeah, I directed Arroyo Profiles the day after I took the directing class. Okay. So I don't know if you guys.
So you were clearly ready for it.
I was a pro, yes. So I don't know if anybody's ever done that, but it was both nerve-wracking and super exciting and fun. Because I had taken some of the other classes, but this was earlier. I hadn't volunteered as much, even though I was here like 3 times a week. But still, like, I didn't have the experience I have now, 2 months later. And so to have, everyone always says, oh, you want to be the director? Oh, yeah, you want to tell people what to do. They don't get that it's like the ultimate responsibility. Yeah. You really want to do a good job. And I know Aaron, programming director here, he always tells me, are you having fun? And I'm like, well, I just want to get it right. Before we have fun, I just want to do right by people. And so it was nerve-wracking to, kind of have that responsibility, but it was super fun. I loved it.
So what are some of the things you hope to bring to the Arroyo channel now that you're here? Because we're probably going to keep bugging you.
Whatever you need, I'm always like, okay, what do you need? Do you need me to do audio? You need me to do a camera?
We need you to do a show.
You need us to do a show? Yeah, the pressure of a show. We will do it.
Okay,
we will do it.
So when you came in, because you basically said you're following your heart, and it brought you here. I'm expecting that the heart's going to continue beating, and then eventually it's going to beat you into a show in the gentlest way possible. I assure you.
Yes.
But through that whole process, you've actually volunteered on shows for several people.
Yes.
I think you've probably volunteered on practically every show here. Well, maybe not every show.
Maybe 70%.
Oh,
yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that experience. What was the first class you took after the orientation? You come in. What was like next to
I feel like ages ago.
I remember you going through like every class, like every day you were showing up for a class.
Well, I live like 8 minutes away. Unlike people, this place is so awesome. You have people from Malibu, Beverly Hills, all over the place, just like driving 2 hours, Orange County. Mm-hmm. I'm like on Orange Grove Boulevard. So if I'm not taking advantage of everything you guys have to offer, then I should be like, But yeah, so what was the first class? I think it was the single camera. Mm-hmm. Single camera with Jared. And I don't think I'd ever really touched a camera before in my life. So it was like, he'll tell you, it was like, show me this button, and what about that button, and this button. So it was fun.
Okay. And 4 or 5 classes later, you've done a couple, how many episodes? I think you've done at least 2 episodes of Roe Profiles, and now you're already sitting.
The one I directed and the one here. That's it. Because I've only been here 2. Yeah, it seems like longer, but I've been here 2 months.
She cheated. That's not fair. Okay, wait, so you owe us some more shows. Sure. And then shows for other producers. What other programs and some of the other producers and people?
So let's see, The Short Truth, Tongues of Fire. I did What the Health. God, there's so many and so many different positions I've done that I can't even remember. In fact, I said to somebody the other day, hey, I directed Arroyo Profiles, and it was Cliff, and Cliff's like, yeah, I was guiding you through it. So I was like, okay, remember things. But yeah, so there've been so
One
many.
of these days we're going to get Cliff on the show. He doesn't know it, but
Cliff,
we're going to sneak a camera into the control room.
Yes, we see you, Cliff.
And make it happen. We know you're here, Cliff. It's going to happen. I can hear you now, Cliff.
Yes.
It's going to happen. He's going to do it. Okay, so what are some of the things that you might tell a person if they're thinking about it, or even if they're not thinking about your experience here? Like,
Okay,
do you ever get into a conversation where you're telling people about what you're doing?
All the time. You know, maybe I haven't really posted that much on Facebook, but I do tell people, I got to go to the studio. And they're like, what are you doing? And, you know, I tell them that I'm training for something, and it's something amazing because I get to do all the training, one, for free, right? Which is, I mean, you've got like people who've gone to film school and they're here and they're learning how to work certain things that I've already learned how to work, and I find that incredible. You know, you don't need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on film school. Sorry, film schools, not trying to take business away from you, but you do get the training here. And
we're trying to take your business away from you, film schools. He is. We want that business.
But it's hands-on. It's amazing. You know, where else do you get to do, you know, you're setting up somebody on audio, and the next day you're running one of the cameras, and the next day you're on teleprompter, and the next day you're directing, and the next day you're producing your show, whatever you want, or you're on.
You're producing your show.
Not yet.
Okay.
But yeah, so this is, and you're doing it day to day, week to week, right? It's not like you have to spend another semester doing it, and it's boring. No, it's always exciting. It's always fun. So I would say, you know, it's worth the 2-hour drive wherever you're from. This is a fantastic place. It's welcoming. It's free. You know, I think the most you have to pay is a production fee if you wanted to do producing at some point, and it's also minimal fee. And it's a great place to learn. Great place to learn.
Okay, one of the things we are missing, looking back at your journalism background, is some news. So maybe we could lean on you for a news show.
What are you talking about? You have a new City Beat.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah, I know it's
I'm trying to pass
but,
the buck here. She's not letting me do it.
I'll take it.
Okay. Well, do you think? Tell me what your feeling is, because you've mentioned it now. But I mean, if this was not around, what would you do instead? Do you think there's a place where you could?
There's nothing like. You know what? Let me say that's funny, but it's the truth. Like where I would have to go to a film school, take a class. I'd have to, you know, self-teach how to work a 5D or something that I can afford. Not the big cameras, right? I mean, even, you know, through my business, I'd have to get something smaller because that's how you learn. Nah, here you're learning with the big guns, right? The big guys and the big cameras. And I don't think there's anywhere you could do that other than a non-profit, you know, community, you know, arena.
Oh, you mean this place?
This kind of place.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that is a mouthful, and our time has flown by, and Glenn's staring at me crazy, so I gotta wrap it up. Thank you very, very, very much, and we're looking forward to your show. I do want to thank both Roe and Maryl for joining me on Arroyo Profiles, and all of the members of our volunteer production crew. You're next. And I hope you found this episode informative and entertaining. If you're interested in learning how you can get involved, look for Pasadena Media through all of the usual social media platforms. And for those of you who want to do more than like, follow, and subscribe, head over to pasadenamedia.org and sign up for our free classes. We're proud to offer training for anyone interested in learning about television production. So whether you're interested in pushing the buttons or pushing your point of view, this is the place for you. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the Arroyo channel.